Okay, we're almost done now. I have dull coated the Godzilla, and I'm liking how he looks pretty good. And so now is the time where I finish him off. I use this Future Floor Wax. This is great stuff for doing the eyes, and when you paint the eyes with this gloss, it really makes the model come to life. So I put a little bit in a cup. I'm going to use a very small brush, and I'm going to paint the eyes with it. Try not to get it all over the place because you don't want it to look like he's crying. And you might put more than one coat on here, it's up to you. But I like to make the eyes look pretty glossy. So you can see the one eye and then the one I put the gloss on. And so some people paint highlights on the eye, but it's great if the eye actually has its own highlights. It looks a lot more real. If you ever look at the suit of Baragon, it has a white dot right in the middle of the pupil. And I don't know if that is meant to be a highlight for the eye or what, but usually I don't add that. I have before, but when I make Baragon, I like his eyes to look more real, and that just doesn't come off as real to me. The Future Floor Wax is good not only for the eyes but inside the mouth, but you may want to be careful how much of it you use. It depends. You know, think about how wet a mouth looks. If you want him to look real slobbery, by all means put more gloss on there. But I generally am going to, for a monster, put the gloss around the bottom jaw, inside, around the gums, so it does look a little bit like he's slavering. Another thing I might do is actually put a touch or two inside the nostrils. On some kits what I've done is on the tongue I've used water effects, and I've made a drip of saliva going from the roof of the mouth to the top of the tongue, and then I paint this stuff on it when it's all dry. Just super glue that on there, and you can make it look pretty cool. I've done that on a couple models. And I'm just putting a little bit of this gloss on the teeth. If you get it somewhere you don't like, you can wipe it off pretty good, and if you need to use a little water, that will help take that off. Okay, so I got a little more gloss on the mouth. I'll put a little bit more on the eyes. Okay, so now I'm going to take another brush, and I have these products. This is Liquitex Gloss Medium Varnish, and this is Liquitex Matte Medium. The matte is pretty much flat, a flat gloss, or no gloss, and this is actually very glossy. It's not as glossy as Future Floor Wax though. So what I'm going to do in order to get the right amount of gloss on the claws is I'm going to add these two together. Just a drop of one, the glossy stuff, and maybe just a little bit more than that of the matte. Because the matte does sometimes come out a little bit glossier than if it wasn't there, but for me, not quite enough for the claws. I want them to have the same sort of satin gloss as would your nails, your fingernails, or maybe a cow's horn would have. Now I'm just going to paint that on the nail, going right up to the edge of the toe. And what's good about this as well is it helps protect the claw, because they do tend to get bumped a lot, or they are, maybe if you have a diorama, they're going to get scratched on the edge, and so this will help protect that that surface from having your paint get scratched off as easily. You still need to be careful of that kind of thing when you paint a model. That's always a possibility that handling it is going to scratch off something. Or now this is going to look kind of white for a little bit until it dries, so that's okay. And you can always go back and give it another coat if you like. Just to double protect it. So I'm making sure and getting it on all sides of the nail, or the claw. Putting it on pretty liberally. I know it's going to look white now. When it dries, it will be clear. If you buy the right stuff. There is some that's more opaque. You don't want that. Make sure that it's the gloss you want, and make sure also that it's got the opacity or translucency you want. And for this, you want it to be very transparent. You just are using this just to give it a bit of a gloss. Like on the claws, I used to use the Future Floor Wax on there, but it really, I think that was a mistake when I did that. It's too much. And I only made a drop of this, so I'm going to try to use it up. So this project, once this is dry, will be done. And so my last video is going to show the finished diorama. I'll show you different views of it. But here we are. Forgot to mention I did finish putting on the fins as best I could figure out how they go on. But they're on there, they're puttied and repainted. I used acrylics and then I did washes. I did washes a little bit more on the top of the head just to mute what I had done there. I didn't like it quite the way it was. So now I'm going to set this guy down to dry, and I'm going to protect those claws and let them hang up in the air a little bit. Okay, I hope this has been helpful. I hope that you have learned something, and be sure and like and comment if it was helpful to you. Okay, thanks. Bye.